there's a reason that, the military trains during times of peace, because you don't want to be learning how to load your rifle when the enemy is coming across the hill. Like, that's a bad time to learn that skill.
Mike is the partner, principal, CEO, founder of thoughtLEADERS. Tell us about thoughtLEADERS and what you guys do and how you deliver it.
Yeah, we're a leadership development and training firm. Most of what we do is instructor-led in classroom training. I like to say we teach the skills that everybody needs that nobody ever teaches you, like leadership, communications, change management, decision-making, problem-solving, resilience, all things that leaders need. But I think there's a reliance that you just sort of pick them up on the job. And what we pride ourselves on is putting structure to it and process to it and making it something that's easy to understand and repeatable. And once it's repeatable, you can actually start demonstrating it every day.
I was refreshing myself on some of the courses, and I was seeing, the titles, and it's funny how, like, you see that title a month ago, and then you read it in the context of the world today, and you're like, oh crap. If people were working on these as skills all the time, then I think these moments maybe feel their crisis. Change is inevitable, but maybe less. But the idea of honing and developing skills while in crisis mode or in change mode, I mean, do you have a feeling that that's a thing that you should try to do or not try to do?
No. There's a reason that, the military trains during times of peace, because you don't want to be learning how to load your rifle when the enemy is coming across the hill. Like, that's a bad time to learn that skill, right? I mean, you want to learn it when things are nice and calm and you can focus, and it's repetition, repetition, repetition. When I went to airborne school, jumping out of planes, it was just constant repetition for like 2.5 weeks of how to land and how to make sure your chute opens. And you're on the ground doing this. You're like, why are we doing this 800 times today? And the reason you're doing it 800 times today is because when you're up in that plane and you're like 1,400 feet up and that door opens, like, your brain goes blank. You're like, I am about to jump out of a freaking airplane. Like, there is no thought and it's not conscious. And I joke that my first 3 jumps were night jumps. Now, they were in the middle of the day, but they were night jumps because my eyes were closed and I'm going out of that plane. Like, and like, all you know is you're shuffling and all of a sudden the wind hits you. But then you realize your body is just doing things automatically. And it's just because you drilled it so many times. So, this is why we encourage clients, it's like, man, you've got the training dollars or you got the time, you should be doing it now. I know this doesn't seem like an immediate need, but you need to be doing this now. And it always drives me nuts when clients say, well, we're going to put this off to next quarter, or, back half of the year or whatever. And it's like, so you're telling me you're fine with your people not building these skills now and deploying them for another 6 months? What's the cost of that? And what's the benefit of putting it off, right? And then a crisis hits and you're like, I told you. And I am going to have a few I told you so conversations.
Some of those things like leadership and communication and of those categories, people, I think they're inherent to some people.
Yeah.
But you guys take a practical approach to that where you can practice those things. And, I'd like you to demystify the I'm a good leader by DNA.
Yeah. And look, there's the false argument around, is it born or is it bred? Can it be taught? And it's like, yes, it can be taught. And now some people have more of a tendency to want to go and seek those types of roles and types of positions, but inherently, just because you feel like, oh, I'm outgoing and I really like working with people, doesn't mean you're a good leader or know how to think about strategy or how to make yourself resilient. And some of it is intuitive. I think what we do really well is make it explicit. Like I bet you think of people and you say, man, she is awesome at telling stories. She's a great storyteller. And I could never be a great storyteller because that's just something you're born with. And actually, it's not. And we've taken that skill and turned it into a process. And here are the components of a story and how you build them. And all of a sudden, people who thought, wow, I was never good at telling stories, now have a rubric to be able to create those and develop and do those. So that's one of those things that, you can develop that skill.